All right, welcome DoorGrow property managers to the Property Management Growth Show. If you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, impact lives, help others, and you're interested in growing your business and life, and you're open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow property manager. DoorGrow property managers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management business owners and their businesses. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth expert, Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow. Now let's get into the show. And my guest today, I'm hanging out with a local Austinite, fellow friend that I know locally, CEO and co-founder of Quick Forms Processing, Rich Walker. Welcome, Rich.
Hey, everybody. Really an honor to be here, Jason. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Yeah, glad to have you. So you're doing some really cool stuff in business, and it's been great. We're in a mastermind locally together, and you're going to be speaking to our audience at DoorGrow Live. So, for those listening, make sure you get your tickets to DoorGrow Live, and you've written some books. Like, tell everybody, give us some background on Rich and how you kind of got into entrepreneurism and like what you do. So.
Oh boy, this could be a long story, or I'll try to keep it brief. Look, I grew up very poor. I was the product of a broken household, if you will. And I learned very early on that if you make something people want, they'll pay you for it. It's amazing. So I started my first business at age 12. I took a $300 investment and turned it into over $1,100 in one day at an event. And I was stunned. I was just struck with all these people handing me fistfuls of cash to buy my product. And I said, wow, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to build businesses.
What was the product at age 12?
Oh, man. So I should show it to you. I'd have to go off screen to get it. But if you know what surgical tubing looks like, stretchy latex tubing, and you know what a pen tip looks like, take the pen tip, shove it into the tube, tie a knot on the other end, and then get a garden hose with a cone-shaped nozzle and stick the pen in it, and it blows up a long tube of water.
Like a squirt gun.
We call them water weenies.
Yeah, I made those. Yeah,
So, but imagine before the Super Soaker came out, what were your options? You had water balloons, hand grenades. Yeah. You had squirt guns that went 5 feet. You had the hose stuck to the house.
Yeah.
And then water weenies, which squirted 30 feet and carried gallons of water on your back. So you were the king of the water fights.
Yeah. And you got a good workout.
Yeah. Amazing.
How long were these tubes? How long would you cut them?
The longest cut length would be 3 feet, but when it filled up, it was 9 feet. So imagine draped around your neck down to your toes
9
with water.
feet of water-filled hose. Yeah.
So you were just a walking fire truck.
Funny. I just got back from Funnel Hacking Live, and Russell Brunson always shares this story of starting by selling potato guns online, like how to build potato guns. This sounds very reminiscent of that. So.
Yeah, very much. It was a really awesome experience. I mean, honestly, going from having nothing to having money in my hands. And actually, I saved all that money at age 12, just about to turn 13. I saved it till I bought my first car when I turned 16.
Wow. All right. So you ever heard of the marshmallow test they give kids?
I'm not sure.
It's like, it's delayed gratification versus instant gratification.
Right.
They say you can have they put a marshmallow in front of them and they make them wait with it. And they're like, if you you can eat this marshmallow, but if you don't eat it by the time I get back, then I'll give you 2 marshmallows or something like this. I think is how it goes. And most kids fail. They're like, oh, I really want that. Or they'll put cookie or whatever it is, showing you saving money when there's you could buy video games as a kid, whatever, right? That's some serious delayed gratification right there. So,
Jason, I got to tell a bigger story here, because really this is what happened. At age 8, I went to my friend's house, and my friend had a radio controlled car. It was a kit you had to build yourself, but it would drive 35 miles per hour off road. It was amazing. This is the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted that car so bad. And we were so poor. There was no way my parents were going to buy me a $300 car. And in today's money, that's like 12 to 1500 bucks. Okay.
Yes.
So that's not going to happen. So I started saving my money, birthday, Christmas money. I would sell candy around the neighborhood. I would rake leaves for a neighbor and make $2. Anything I could do to save money. It took me 4 years to save up the $300. And that's that summer that I got introduced to water weenies was by my neighbor. He was a supplier to physicians. His son and I played all the time, and he came out and gave us these water weenies to play with, but then he took them back. And all the other kids wanted one. So I was kind of observant, and I said, hey, in your shed, I see a reel of tubing. Can I buy that from you? It was like 25 feet of tubing. He's like, okay, how much? It's like 12 bucks or something. Ran home, grabbed the money out of my bank account, gave it to him, went home, started cutting lengths, destroyed every pen in my house, and started selling. And within a day or two, I had sold $50 worth of stuff. So I went and bought another 25 feet and sold another 50 bucks. Then I went to summer camp and I rode my bike and squirted every kid I could find. Had 20 kids chasing me on my bike. And then I'd sell them all the water weenies. So over that course of that summer, I got to the $300 mark and I bought the car. Now, my uncle saw all this behavior and said, Rich, next summer, I'm hosting 4th of July. You could have a booth and sell these water weenies there. Would you like to do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Months and months go by, go through winter, go into spring. My mom reminds me of this opportunity. I'm like, okay. So I go to my neighbor. How much for 1,000 feet of tubing? $300. Guess what? I don't have $300 anymore.
Yeah.
So I said to him, hey, look, your son is about to have his birthday. Wouldn't it be cool if he had this RC car? He loves playing with it. Would you barter with me and trade me for the tubing? And the guy's a saint. Honestly, I wish I could find him and say thank you because he did it. His son got a great car. I got the tubing. I wrote a letter to Scripto Pen Company and said, hey, I'm doing a project. I need some sample pen tips. Would you mind sending me some? They sent me a box of 5,000 pen tips for free.
What?
No cost. And so then I had all the materials to put it together and showed up at 4th of July, started selling by 7 a.m., sold out by 1 p.m. And this is why I said I had fistfuls of money. I had people at this long table. I had people out 8 to 10 people deep lined up to buy these things. And it's all I could do is to take money and give them a water weenie. My pockets filled up with cash. And my mom would pull the cash out of my pockets and put it in a safe box over and over and over again that day.
What were you selling each one for?
Anywhere from like $1.50 to $4 or something, depending on length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was such an incredible experience. And that's why I said, man, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So I just knew that I was bitten and I had to do this. And look, I'm age 50 now. My company that I own today, Quick, just celebrated our 23rd anniversary. And I've started about 10 different business ventures and companies since age 12. So I've always just had this desire to fulfill my own sense of freedom and creativity and serve people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the genesis of it. Like you build something people want, they'll pay you for it. And it's an amazing thing.
I love it. It's you see a problem, you saw an opportunity, and lots of other people saw the problem. They just didn't see the opportunity. They're like, man, I would love to have one of these. It's nice.
Yeah.
You were able to fill that need. So that's a great story. Love that story. So that's how you kind of got it, like, bit by the bug of entrepreneurism.
Yeah. Now the Quick company started because in the 90s, I worked at other companies. I worked at Arthur Andersen, for example, and I learned technology, especially from like a back end perspective of big tech. How does it all work? How does it flow together? And I decided to get out of tech consulting late in the year 2000. Yeah. And in doing that, I really went back to my degree in college, which was finance, and said, I really love finance. Let me help people with their money. So I became a financial advisor. Okay. And in doing that, you go out and get your licenses. You work really hard for all that. You work really hard to gain the trust and respect of your first client. And then they finally say, yes, I will open an account with you. And guess what your reward is? Yeah, fine. You can make a commission. That's a reward. No, you get to handwrite paperwork. And I thought, man, this sucks. I am not going to make $4 an hour handwriting paperwork for people. I used to charge $200 an hour as a consultant. So how do I fix this problem? And I decided to build software because I was a technologist that would fill out my forms. Now, Jason, it was a hack. It was a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet with fields overlaid on images. It was just a hack. It just made it work. Yeah. But everybody around me for 6 months kept saying, Rich, give me your software. I hate filling out forms. Yeah. And I was in this quandary of, wow, I have found a need. but I want to be a financial advisor. What do I do? And after 6 months, I finally said, okay, let's build the product. So we did our first install on February 11, 2002, and never looked back. I mean, we found out people really wanted this. It was changing people's lives. It was empowering them to do their best work, which is not paperwork.
Yeah.
And today we manage a library of over 42,000 forms, and we generate over 1 million forms every month across the wealth management industry, serving well over 100,000 financial professionals.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I had a short job. I worked for a while at Verizon, like in their business DSL tech support. Like I was an internet support guy, and they had after every call, it was a call center. After every call that we did, we had to fill out this ridiculous form. It just took so much time, and we were measured on the time that we were unavailable between calls and how many calls we completed. And so I found some sort of like macro tool that, because each ticket there was only like 3, maybe 4 types of tickets that we would do. It was always the same sort of challenges. But we had to fill out all of these fields of ridiculous, stupid stuff. And so I used this macro tool that basically, if I type a certain thing, it would just spit out a whole bunch of other stuff, and it would go tab from field and fill it all out. And so I set this up because I started to see these patterns. And so then I similar to what you did, I solved the problem for myself. So I built this thing that I could then just do this type of ticket. And then there were other people on the floor, and they're like, man, I'm going to get fired. I can't do this. I do this fast enough. Well, so then I'm starting to help people. So now I'm like a virus on the floor, and the managers didn't like me for some reason. Like my manager did not like that I was doing this. I don't know why,
Right.
because maybe he didn't come up with the idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I'm starting to help other people so they don't get fired. And I'm showing, other people on the floor how to set this up and how to do this, and giving them my formula and, for the script language for how to do this. And they're able to close their tickets out like really fast. They're just like, pull up, and it's like, and they're like, cool, next. Right. And what was baffling to me at the time is that it was not seen as a positive by my superiors. It was seen
crazy
as a problem. And I'm like, you are an idiot. And this is where I kind of realized, like, a lot of times, you've heard of the Peter principle in business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, for those
You
listening,
rise to your highest level of mediocrity
or incompetence, right?
Yeah,
And so, true. Yeah, which means basically people get promoted because they're good at a certain level, and then they get promoted again, just beyond their current capacity or ability to perform well. And now they're at a level where they are no longer able to intellectually maybe rise to the occasion or be good. And so businesses are just full or rife with all of these people that, like, especially big organizations, because I was at HP, I've been, I just saw it everywhere. There's like, I always had idiots like above me is what it felt like, that were telling me I couldn't do things or slowing me down. And I'm like, don't you see? And then what would happen is, months later, that idea that I was trying to push, that they were fighting me on, was their new idea.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, guys,
Jason,
what's new idea?
What you're explaining is the real truth. And it took me a while to figure this out for why I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do my best work. And anytime I've worked for others, I've been limited and held back. So I really was seeking a way to empower myself to do my best work. And in my company, in our culture, it boils down to empowering others to do their best work. I want my team to do their best work. I want my vendors and my partners and my customers to all do their best work. Because what do you get when you have your best work? You get joy, you get fulfillment, you get productivity, you get engagement, and you get the highest possible outcome from every person on your team. That's why I'm an entrepreneur more than anything else. I mean, yeah, I'd like to make money. Oh, I want freedom. I want creativity. But honestly, at the core of it, how do I get to do my best?
I love this. So some of you listening to this episode, you've heard me talk about my framework of the 4 reasons for starting a business. I call it the 4 reasons. And this is what makes us different than everyone else on the planet. And we're rare. Entrepreneurs are rare people. Yeah. We are the minority. We feel like we're living on a planet as aliens a lot of times. We're like, why doesn't everyone think this way? It's super weird. So entrepreneurs The reason we start businesses is we want four things. We think we want money usually in the beginning, but what we really want is what money will give us. And that's these things. It's freedom. Well, first is fulfillment. The most important is fulfillment. We want to enjoy life, enjoy what we're doing, make a difference, whatever. That we want fulfillment in whatever that means to us. And then second, we want freedom. We want autonomy. Usually in the beginning, we start trying to start a business. We think we want more money because we think it's going to give us more freedom and fulfillment, but we actually have less fulfillment and less freedom the more money we make.
Right.
And so then we start to wake up like, hey, this sucks. Like, how do I like be pickier about my clients, or how do I change this? You know, and but freedom and fulfillment and freedom are 1 and 2. Third, once we have those, we want contribution. We want to feel like we're making a difference, having an impact. And we want to benefit other people. And that's what a business is designed to do, right? Solve real problems in the marketplace. It's contribution. If not, it's snake oil, right? We're just taking people's money. So fourth, once we have fulfillment, freedom, contribution, the fourth is we want we need support. And that's why we build a business, because we can't max out on fulfillment, freedom, contribution if we are wearing every hat and we're miserable.
Yeah.
We don't want to do everything. Not everything is fun for us, right? There's pieces you love and there's pieces you just don't love, right? And that's true for every business owner. But we're all different. Like some of us love accounting. Some of us don't love accounting, right? Some of us love sales. Some of us don't love sales, right? Some of us love ops. Some of us are bad at ops, right? And so there is, though, what I call the fifth reason. This is what makes everyone else different than us. We want this one too, but everyone else on the planet prioritizes this fifth reason over the first four. It's safety and security.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They want that. That's more important than freedom, fulfillment. They will give up freedom. You saw this during the pandemic. Most people were like, forget your freedoms. I want to feel safe. Give me safety and security, right? I remember here I was in North Austin. I went to Costco during the pandemic, and masks were kind of optional, right? They were optional. And I'm walking around Costco without a mask, and everyone else has masks on for the most part. And anyone that didn't have a mask, I was like, hey, do you own a business? And they're like, yeah. And we're looking at each other like we know, like the world's gone fucking nuts. Like the world's like, what's going on? Like we had a knowing, like, yeah, everyone's crazy.
Man, I wish I'd asked that question. I would have met a lot more entrepreneurs that way, because I was out there, no mask, any chance I got.
Right.
I mean, I didn't want confrontation with people.
And for those listening,
I was just adamant.
There's nothing wrong with this, right? We need both, right? Not everyone can be entrepreneurial. It would be a crazy world, right? We need people that are willing to work for us, right? But we need both. But they want the four reasons too. Like nobody's gonna say, "Oh, I don't want freedom," but they want safety and security first. And that's most people on the planet. And so psychologically, entrepreneurs, we're just wired different. We will give up safety and security in order to have freedom and fulfillment.
I'll tell you how I did that, Jason.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm a tech consultant charging $200 an hour. I'm making $350,000 a year. I'm age 24 or 25, driving my dream car. I have everything.
Yeah.
I go become a financial advisor, and I make very little money. I mean, I had savings basically. And then I start the software company. I have no income. I literally say, I'm going to start this company. I have zero income. I had no house, no wife, no kids. So, I mean, that made it easier. And for the first, look, I started this.
People would say you're nuts. They're already saying he's crazy. Like if they're not an entrepreneur, but every entrepreneur listening is like, we get it.
No, this is what you do. I cashed out my 401k. I sold the dream car, cashed out any equity I had in that. I bought a cheaper car, et cetera. And then I said, okay, I'm going to have my dream car back in a year or two. In the first 4 years of my business, my income was $1,000 a month. I mean, I made $12,000 a year for 4 years straight.
Shit.
And so here's the thing. $1,000 a month doesn't pay my rent. My rent was $1,200 to $1,500 during that time.
Right.
So here's the question that you'd ask yourself. How did you sleep at night? And I'll tell you this one thing. Every time I paid rent on the first of the month, I actually did not know how I would have the money in 30 days to pay rent again.
Right.
So how do you sleep at night? I slept great. It never bothered me. I didn't lose 1 minute of sleep over that financial burden.
Okay.
I just looked at it as that's another tool. I've got to figure out how to make money with this. And there were things that happened, like sometimes a big credit card bill came through with somebody bought our software, or
Mhm.
sometimes I borrowed money off the credit card to pay the bill.
Yeah.
It was just different things happened. And you know what? In those 4 years, I was never late once. So that, like my wife and I contrast, she could not do that. If she just cannot live that way, she could never have that kind of risk profile. For me, I was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll figure it out every single time.
See, you trusted yourself and maybe God, I don't know, but you trusted your ability to create, right? You
Mhm.
you knew you had confidence you could create money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned that being poor. I mean, in college, I went to USC, one of the most expensive schools around, but I
Yeah.
paid my own way to go there. And
Yeah.
during college, there were so many weeks, I can't even count them, where I'd wake up on Monday with exactly $5 to my name. That's all the
Yeah.
money I had access to. And I had to get to Friday before I got my paycheck, and I had to pay for
Mhm.
parking and food, etc.
Yeah.
I was so scrappy. I would look at what ads were in the paper, and I find people doing focus groups that would pay me $10 for 30 minutes of my time to go pretend to shop and pick products. So I'd go make an extra $10, and now I had triple my money to get through the week. I did so many creative things. So I knew at that point, like, yeah, money's just a tool. We'll figure it out. We'll always make it work.
Yeah.
So,
Money's
I want to bring this up because I, this is the thing. You mentioned at the start of the show that I'm going to be at your event,
Yeah.
uh, the DoorGrow show, right?
The
And
DoorGrow Live. Yes.
okay, yeah. And what I'm going to talk about is one of my books, and it's called "It's My Life." I'm going to hold it up for anybody watching. It's my life. I can have. Sorry, there's two books. I can change if I want to. My other
Yeah.
book's called "It's My Life." I can have the job I want. But I'm going to talk about
Okay.
change. Because one of the questions inherent to this problem of how do you go through these hardships, how do you go through these struggles, which would stress most people out like crazy, comes down to your ability to handle change.
Mm.
And it starts with you.
Adaptability.
Adaptability. Yeah. Now, look, I was forced into it because I'm 50, but I've moved 33 times in my life. I had moved 29 times by the time I was 32.
Wow.
And I was forced to move as a kid. I had no choice about that. I was forced to make new friends. I was forced to go into new schools and new cities and new states. We went
Military
through
family or
divorces, job transfers,
just a
etc.
lot of change, a lot of turmoil. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really a very challenging childhood that I don't look back on with any negativity towards.
Yeah.
But I was forced to learn how to change and adapt to change. And out of that, around age 12, I developed a methodology for how I could change myself and the behaviors and the feelings I had. Because I started to look at the world. This actually comes from religion. I mean, you brought up God.
Yeah.
My father was a minister in a church when I was born, but it was very extreme. It was considered a cult. My
Wow.
stepfather was in the Catholic Church, so we attended Catholic services. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been to plenty of Mormon events, the LDS Church. I know all about that.
Yeah.
I've been
I
part of
grew up
other types of
Mormon.
churches.
I grew up Mormon, actually.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I was exposed to all these different religions,
Yeah.
and what I saw was everybody said they're right, and I'm not taking issue with that. I'm not trying to say one's better than the
Sure.
other, but just as an observation, if everybody thinks they're right, then my beliefs can be just as right. And that
Yeah.
empowered me to say, what do I want to believe about the world? How do I want to choose beliefs that will help me be the best I can be? And simultaneously, at age 12, my mom was going through a huge awakening in herself. She was reading books by Dr. Wayne Dyer and all sorts of
Mm.
self-improvement books because she wanted to
Yeah.
get better. And she was sharing those lessons with my brother and I. So I was learning through osmosis. I was learning through observing my mom go through these changes, but I was also observing the world around me. And I realized I can make changes to myself and become better, which means I could have lower stress. So let's go all the way back to the story of how do I start a company with no money? How do I believe I don't have to be stressed out about the money?
Yeah.
And it comes down to your core beliefs of what you actually believe about your ability to go figure it out, or
Yeah.
your ability to let it stress you out, or what even stress means in your life.
Mm.
I'm sure you've talked about this with your group here. There's no value in worry. Like worrying about a problem, what does that actually get you? It gets you anxiety and stress. It doesn't solve the problem. It
Yeah.
doesn't add value into your life. So therefore, I looked at it and said, how do you not worry? How do you not stress out about things? So what I'm excited to share with your audience when I get up on stage is how to use my methodology to become more resilient, to accept change for what it is, to learn how to control the change so that you can be the person you want to become. And therefore, you can go through the hardships, the challenges, the biggest potential failures or actual failures that you're going through in your business and in your life.
Yeah.
And win on the other side because you become a better person through the whole thing.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, running a business can be tough. It can be very hard. Entrepreneurs go through a lot of challenges. I often joke DoorGrow was built on thousands of failures, and but we have that hope and we keep moving forward. And so being resilient is essential. Being adaptable is essential. Otherwise, it's just takes a toll. It takes a toll on our body. It takes a toll on our health. We don't make progress. We don't have as effective of decision making. And there's like, if we're not in a state of worry, not in a state of stress, we make infinitely better decisions. Decisions made from fear, decisions made from stress generally are almost never good decisions. And so, and if you think about all the decisions we make on a daily basis in our own business, if you just have a healthy mindset, you will be at a very different place, even in a short period of time. And I've had periods of stagnancy, I've had periods of hardship, and I've had periods of dramatic growth.
Yeah.
And transition.
I love the graphic, and I'm sure everybody's seen it, where two guys are digging and one guy is giving up and the other guy keeps going, and the diamonds are right there. The gold is right there.
Oh, okay.
Right. The guy who gives up is 1 foot away from the gold, and the guy who keeps digging hits it because he just went that one extra foot. And to me, that is that point of exasperation where you're saying, oh my gosh, this is the worst day of my life, the worst month of my life. This is so challenging. It's everything's wrong. And you embrace the change, and suddenly things change faster. Now, you may not strike the gold that you want. You may not win the biggest account you want. But I mean, look, you can read the biography on Elon Musk with his story of SpaceX and Tesla. And he was betting the farm on both of them. He was down to 2 weeks of payroll, I think, when NASA came in with a $1.5 billion check to fund the rocket boosters they wanted. Like, he's at the absolute lowest point, and boom, the greatest thing happens. So this is why I don't get stressed out about
story. Like, when we take these risks and they create great stories. And even if it doesn't work out the risk, it still makes a great story.
It does.
Because we're going to figure it out. As long as we're, the one thing is, if we're committed to getting the result, it's inevitable. It will eventually come. It might take a little longer, but yeah, if we're committed, and man, he took some big risks. He was committed.
Yeah. Yeah. But it comes back to you. I've met so many entrepreneurs who do stress out. They lose sleep. In fact, one of the most common things I hear from entrepreneurs is, hey, what makes you lose sleep at night? Nothing, honestly. My 3-year-old makes me lose sleep, but losing business, man, it doesn't bother me in the same way that I think a lot of other people do. And that's because I know who I am. I know what my beliefs are, and I've challenged myself to change the ones that don't work.
Yeah.
I'll give you one other example here, Jason, to think about. And again, this is not a judgment towards anybody. I was in an audience of entrepreneurs, man, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago. And the guy on stage said, okay, everybody here, raise your hand if you have ADHD. I was maybe one of 2 people who didn't raise their hands. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. And I refuse to accept the label of ADHD for whatever purpose the label means. What if, though, what if ADHD is your superpower? And what if the label of ADHD, of treating it with drugs and you can't stay focused and still, is a negative by all the other aliens on this planet? Because you said, as entrepreneurs, we feel alien. What if it's everybody else's assessment of you versus your own? What if your own assessment was your ADHD is actually your superpower?
Sure. You've got the ability to hyper focus. You've got the ability to do something unique or exceptional. Yeah.
Yeah. Or switch gears on 10 conversations in a day, because that's what happens during your day as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Or right. And adaptability. So I look at that, again, going back to how I view your belief systems and my book on change, is that you can take something that a lot of people look at as, oh, you got to treat that's harmful for our relationship or whatever. And say, no, I'm going to turn it into my superpower and take a different view of it because it's you. It's not me. It's not my judgment of you. It's your own judgment of you. How do you want to be?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
excited to
great.
share this with everybody when we get up there.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to have you there. You know, the reason I'm having you come and other speakers that have nothing to do with property management, by the way, for the property managers, is I find that it's never, excuse me, um, it's never really a business issue that's holding people back in business.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, I've talked to thousands of property managers. I've coached hundreds, and when I dig in, it's never that they're focusing too little time on their business. That's the problem. It's always related to mindset, self belief.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really what's holding them back. And so I think this will be really awesome. I'm really excited for you to benefit our clients that'll be at this event, and those of you that are not yet clients that are coming to DoorGrow Live. I think this will be a game changer for them to just kind of shift their mindset a little bit and increase their resiliency. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I am equally excited because you said one of the four pillars is contribution.
Yeah,
And I didn't write this book for my business. It has nothing to do with software and efficiency. I wrote
right.
this book because my sister and and her husband at the time were at the beginning of a divorce. And they were
Mm,
both coming to me independently to ask me questions, and I'm helping them. And they
yeah,
both independently said, Rich, you should write a book about this someday. And it was on Thanksgiving that year when they both tried to use me as a conduit to each other, where I said, I'm fed up, I'm done. And honestly, Jason, I just spent the next whatever days until the 23rd of December writing the book. I
yeah,
stopped watching TV and it just flooded out of me. I never thought I'd write a book. I don't even like reading books. I listen.
yeah,
Um, so I wrote the book before Christmas, and then I hand bound it and gave it to them as a gift, and it went nowhere. It was lost on them.
yeah.
And then I realized, man, I've got this thing. I've got to get it out there to the world and help other people, because this is one
Mm,
of the ways I get to contribute in the world. Yeah, my business contributes too, and I love that. But at the core of who I am personally, I want to empower people to be their best version of themselves. I
yeah.
can do that with the book. I can do that with the podcast I have. I can do that with the software that we generate. There's a lot of ways to have that effect, and that is my lightning rod. So when you
Mm,
ask me to come speak, it's an easy yes, because this is an opportunity for me to help others become their best version of themselves, maybe by giving them a tool set that they can then use to implement for themselves and create the person they've always wanted to be, or they know is inside of them that's afraid to come out, or just maybe just one behavioral change. I don't
mm.
know. It's up to them.
And like, I love books. I think books are awesome. I read lots and lots of books. I'm reading books all the time. Like, I usually have like 3 or 4 books I'm reading at a time, because maybe I am ADHD. But I get bored of something and I then focus on something else or whatever. I love books. What I've noticed though, because I've gotten to be around a lot of the people that have written some of these books,
Hmm.
because I pay a lot of money to go to masterminds or events. Like, I just got to see Tony Robbins at Funnel
Nice.
Hacking Live. It was really great. I learned some awesome stuff, right? And I think there's some magic in being able to, like, be around and be in the energy space of the person that is giving you this idea. It's not the same. It's not this, like, being in person and doing stuff. I've noticed this weird thing that people absorb information different. They perceive it different. It's not the same as being on video like this.
Hmm.
I've taught lots of people through video, and over and over again, when they would come show up to DoorGrow Live or come in person, things would just click in a different way. And I started to call it I'm like, I called it the real bubble. I have to
Mm.
pierce this bubble that it's not real. I think our unconscious mind doesn't perceive this as real.
Right. Right.
But you and I met in person, so we know we're real people. So our unconscious mind is like, oh, Rich and Jason, we're real people. So we know this. Our brain knows this. But until I meet somebody, fist bump them, high five, give them a hug, whatever, like, and they see me in person, my clients don't get as big of results.
Yeah.
Their unconscious mind is somehow like, not like, oh, this is that digital universe or TV universe that's not real. I don't know. So if they come and like experience this, that even if you get his book, like, get his book, but I'm excited for people to be in your energy field, to experience you, and for you to teach this. And there's something, you could say the same words that are exactly in your book, but people will absorb it differently. I've seen this over and over again, and they will get so much more out of this. That's why I'm excited to have you come present this. So
yeah, there's no replacing face-to-face. There's absolutely no replacement for the energy and the connection that's made when you're face-to-face. I 100% agree. And I wish we could do more of it. So I'm glad for the event and the opportunity to do it in my hometown. It's great.
Yeah, it'd be easy drive, not too far. So
yeah.
All right. So cool. I'm really excited about this. So for those of you that are listening, go to doorgrowlive.com. Get your tickets. This is different than other property management events. Property management events, usually people go to these conferences and they're really there to like hang out at the bar and escape their life and their problems. But this DoorGrow Live is different. And you can go to the bar. There's bars at the Kalahari Resort. You can do that. And you can hang out with people. But people come to our event because they want to be around other people in that space of other people that are really growth minded. And that's who I attract in the industry. We have the most growth minded property management business owners. Like these are people that are focused on in like being a better person, a better husband, a better father, better wife, a better parent, whatever. Like, and they're focused on being, taking care of their team, making a difference in the industry. And I really believe good property managers can change the world. They can have a massive ripple effect. They affect all their clients, the investors' lives. They positively impact the tenants' lives. They can have a big ripple effect. They can affect a lot of people. And that's exciting and inspiring for me to be able to, help benefit them and bring that to the table. So these are leaders. These are people that affect families. And so, by you coming and presenting, I think there's definitely a ripple effect and a positive impact that can happen. So if you're a property manager listening, and you don't care about any of that stuff, then just don't go to DoorGrow Live because we don't want you there anyway. All right. So, Rich, any quick tip that you could give to people before we wrap up our conversation, and then how can people, get a hold of you or whatever you want to plug? The floor is yours.
I'm going to leave everybody with one of my core beliefs that is an empowering one, and it's this: confidence is knowledge of yourself. We all want more confidence, right? And the reason I call it knowledge of yourself is because you should be able to take confidence and apply it to any given situation. It's not 100% confident all the time. It's confident about something you're doing. My typing speed's near 100 words per minute. I have absolute confidence in my ability to type, for example, right?
Yeah.
My other skills may not be the same. So how do you build confidence? You build knowledge of yourself. And it's a lot of what we've been talking about is your own personal growth and who you are. And all that's going to lead to more confidence.
Yeah, love it.
So that's just one of the things I'll share. Best way to find me, probably LinkedIn. I'm the Quick Forms CEO, and that's QUIK. There is no C in the word quick for my company. You could try to email me as well, rwalker@quickforms.com. You could spell it with a C because we own both domains. But if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, there's one thing you should do. Send me a personalized note. Just tell me why you want to meet me, because I'm very happy to meet you and share my network with you. But if you're trying to sell me and spam me, I don't answer those. So just give me a personal note and I'm very happy to talk to you.
Just say, hey, I heard about you on the DoorGrow podcast and, the Property Management Growth podcast.
Yeah. And I'll plug one little thing. I don't know how relevant it is to your audience, but my podcast is called The Customer Wins. And I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win, how they overcome challenges of growth, how they create a really excellent customer experience. And about 20% of my guests come in with totally different perspectives. I had a custom suit broker on, I had a golf pro, I had a magician, and the majority of people in the financial services space. But I'm telling you, there's a lot you can learn about building a better customer experience from listening to people talk about it and hear about it. So
I studied that a lot for several years. It's a big deal to me. I mean, you have to if you're running a coaching business. Coaching businesses are generally high churn. Education businesses are really like a low engagement. Yeah. So I've had to figure a lot of things out to make this go really well. So
I really don't care about how many subscribers or listens I get on my podcast. That's not what I care about. I want people to get value. Yeah. So if you get value from it, awesome. Let me know.
Awesome. Very cool. 110 words per minute. It's pretty fast. Do you type on QWERTY or did you change your keyboard?
No, I type on a normal keyboard. At one point I was at 115. Right now I'm around 100.
Wow.
I
Okay.
bought a device called a Caracorder, which is a totally different configuration where you can type about 300 words per minute, but I've yet to learn it. New skill I've just not taken on yet.
So I hear a lot of world typing speed records are set in Dvorak, and I switched to Dvorak simply because my wrist started hurting when I was going through college. So I actually pop all the keys off all my keyboards and rearrange them into Dvorak. So
Wow.
I know I'm a nerd. So, and you just change the setting. That's like it, but on MacBooks and Mac keyboards, it's like doing brain surgery. You have to be really careful. But it
Yeah.
has all the for the geeks out there. Maybe you'd appreciate this, but it has the most commonly used vowels on the home row of the left hand and the most commonly used consonants on the home row of the right hand.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so world speed records. So, and it took me like a month to just get used to it. Like
Yeah.
you'd pick it up really fast.
Well, so how fast are you?
I'm not that fast. I just did it because my wrists were hurting. I actually don't
Oh,
type that much, honestly. You know, I'm like talking and drawing a lot more than I'm typing, but I'm probably faster than I would be with QWERTY. So
oh,
I
that's
don't
cool.
know. I've never really like done a speed test or typing test to see, but I don't think I'd beat you. That's my guess.
You know, a
You still
funny
beat
little
me
fact
with your QWERTY handicap. So because QWERTY was designed to slow down typewriters, like to slow
because of the
down the
hammer
typing.
strike
Yeah,
colliding. Yeah, of the
yeah,
old types that. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll leave you with a fun fact. The average typing speed in my company is about 85 words per minute.
Nice. Okay, it's pretty good.
Tells you there's people faster than me here.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, Rich, great to have you on here. Appreciate you hanging out with me, and excited to have you at DoorGrow Live.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me today, Jason.
All right. So for those that are, struggling with growth, you're wanting to figure out how to grow your property management business, or you're just getting stuck in the operational challenges, you're tired of telling your team all the time, like thinking, why won't they just think for themselves, and frustrated, and you're dealing with operational systems challenges to get to that next level, reach out to us at DoorGrow. We might be able to change your life. So go to doorgrow.com. And if you'd like to join our free community and Facebook group and, learn about us, get access to, some free stuff, go to doorgrowclub.com to join our community. And of course, go check out doorgrowlive.com and get your tickets. It's going to be in May, and we would love to see you there in person. And a little bit of that DoorGrow magic is going to change your life. We'll see you there.